Here's the truth. Women play an emotional game most men don't even know they're part of. Every reaction, every test, every silence, it all has meaning. But men lose, again and again, because they can't see the rules. What if you could? What if you could read the emotions behind the words, the patterns behind the drama, and the truth behind her tests? In this video, you'll learn the top 7 female weaknesses every man needs to know. The hidden emotional triggers that decide whether she respects you or resents you. Miss them, and you'll keep losing ground. Understand them, and you'll own the frame. Quietly, confidently, completely. Most men think control means dominance. It doesn't. Control means emotional awareness, the ability to stay calm when everything around you gets chaotic. Once you understand that, you stop playing defense in relationships and start leading the dynamic. This isn't about fixing women. It's about upgrading how you move, think, and respond. Because emotional leadership isn't soft, it's strategy. If you're ready to start leading instead of reacting, subscribe and like this video. Then write in the comments, "From today, I lead with composure." That's your declaration of strength. Keep watching, because what comes next reveals the emotional foundation every man must understand before he can win her respect and trust. Number 1, emotional sensitivity. The core language of men often see a woman's emotions as unpredictable, fragile, or even exhausting. But that's the first mistake. What most men call emotional is actually communication in a language they were never taught to understand. Women process life through feeling first and logic second. It isn't weakness, it's wiring. Emotional sensitivity is not fragility, it's intuition. It's her radar for connection, her way of reading the world beyond words. When a woman reacts strongly to something that seems small to you, it's because her emotions translate reality differently. A man hears words, a woman feels meaning. When she says, "You never listen," she's not complaining about one missed sentence. She's expressing that her emotional signal isn't being received. And if that signal goes unanswered too long, connection starts to die, no matter how much you think you're doing everything right. Most men respond with logic. They try to fix, explain, or defend. But logic doesn't calm emotion. Presence does. When she's upset, she doesn't need a solution. She needs resonance. She needs to feel that her emotions don't bounce off a wall of indifference. Listening without interrupting, keeping your tone grounded, acknowledging her feelings. That's how emotional fluency works. You don't surrender your frame. You steady it so hers can find balance. A man who learns this gains something few ever master: emotional leadership. It's not about giving in to emotion, it's about guiding it. When she feels you can understand her inner world without judging it, she begins to trust your direction. Her guard drops. The chaos you once feared becomes predictable rhythm. Think of it this way. Emotion is her native language. Logic is yours. The man who can translate between the two becomes rare, magnetic, and deeply respected. Emotional sensitivity is not her weakness. It's the access point to her loyalty. The moment you stop seeing her feelings as obstacles and start seeing them as data, everything changes. She no longer resists you. She follows your calm. And in that moment, you stop reacting like every other man and start leading like the one she's been waiting to trust. Number 2, need for attention. The currency of connection. Attention is not vanity, it's value. For women, attention is how love speaks without words. The emotional currency that tells her, "You matter here." Every woman, no matter how confident or independent, wants to feel seen by the man she trusts. When that attention fades, even subtly, her heart senses distance long before her mind does. Most men misunderstand this completely. They think attention means compliments, gifts, or constant flattery. But that's surface level. Real attention is energy. It's presence. It's how you listen, how you notice, how your focus rests on her, even when the world is pulling you in 100 directions. You can sit right next to her and still make her feel invisible if your mind is elsewhere. Presence is the difference between being physically there and emotionally available. Neglect doesn't always appear as cruelty. Sometimes it hides in silence, in distraction, in routine. When she starts to feel invisible, she doesn't always say it directly. Instead, she'll test your awareness, a change in tone, a quiet withdrawal, a sudden coldness. Many men respond with confusion or frustration, asking, "What did I do wrong?" The truth is simple. She's not angry. She's unseen. Her silence is a question. Do I still matter in your world? To a woman, attention equals validation. It's her proof that you're still tuned into the connection you built together, and that validation doesn't require grand gestures, just mindful ones. A text that says, "Thinking of you," a moment of eye contact that lingers instead of drifting to your phone, a simple acknowledgement of her effort or mood. Small, consistent signals of awareness build emotional safety faster than any speech about love. When men ignore this, distance grows. She stops opening up, not because she's changed, but because the channel between you has gone quiet. Attention is the signal that keeps that channel alive. It doesn't weaken your masculinity. It amplifies it. A man who can hold focus in a world full of distraction is a rare presence. A woman who feels seen becomes your ally. One who feels unseen becomes your mirror, reflecting your absence back at you. Master the art of attention, and you master emotional presence. Because in the end, love doesn't disappear overnight. It fades quietly, the moment you stop looking at her and start looking through her. Number 3, fear of rejection, the silent driver. Behind her tests. Every woman carries one quiet fear that shapes how she loves, the fear of being emotionally replaced. It isn't always visible. Sometimes it hides behind confidence, sarcasm, or a calm smile. But deep down, that fear drives many of her reactions, especially the ones men misread as tests. A woman doesn't test a man because she wants conflict. She tests to confirm emotional safety. Every emotional test is an unspoken question. Can I trust you not to disappear when I'm vulnerable? When a man begins to pull away, gets inconsistent, or starts acting distracted, her instincts flare. She doesn't consciously choose to overreact. Her emotions simply go on alert, searching for proof that she's still valued. The signs are easy to miss. She may become defensive, question your intentions, or seek constant reassurance. What looks like neediness is often a defense mechanism. Her mind replays patterns from the past. Times she opened her heart and got rejected, dismissed, or replaced. To her, distance equals danger. Here's where most men fail the test. They take her reaction personally, get irritated, or accuse her of being dramatic. They pull away to teach her a lesson, not realizing that withdrawal is exactly what confirms her deepest fear. You don't calm fear by retreating. You calm it through consistency. A strong man doesn't react. He reassures through action. His tone stays steady. His words match his behavior. He doesn't argue her fear away. He makes it irrelevant by showing dependability. That's the power of masculine consistency. It speaks louder than any promise. When you handle her emotional tests with calm authority, something remarkable happens. The fear dissolves. The tension fades. She no longer feels the need to question your loyalty because your steadiness becomes the answer. The mature frame is simple. She's not trying to control you. She's trying to confirm you. Understand that, and you transform her anxiety into trust. Reject that truth, and you feed the very insecurity you hate. When a woman feels irreplaceable, she stops overcompensating. When she feels secure in your emotional presence, Her tests end on their own. And that's when real connection begins. Not through dominance or appeasement, but through unwavering steadiness. In her world, reliability is the highest form of attraction. Number 4. Desire for security. Her deepest instinct. Beneath every strong, independent woman lies a quiet need that never goes away. The desire for security. Not financial, not material, but emotional. The kind of security that comes from knowing the man beside her won't collapse when life gets heavy. It's not about control or protection. It's about consistency, direction, and steadiness. Those are the foundations on which her trust is built. Women are wired to sense stability. It's an ancient instinct. In every generation, survival depended on recognizing who could endure chaos without losing focus. That instinct still lives in her today. When she feels your composure, your discipline, your sense of purpose, she relaxes, she softens. But when she senses instability, emotional volatility, inconsistency, or lack of direction, her instincts turn defensive. She starts to question not your love, but your leadership. A man's frame is tested most during moments of uncertainty. When plans fall apart, when pressure rises, when emotions run high, that's when she looks at you differently. She doesn't need you to have all the answers. She needs to see that you won't break, because emotional steadiness to her equals safety, and safety is the soil where her affection grows. Too many men mistake control for strength. They try to dominate when what she really needs is stability. They raise their voice when they should lower their energy. They argue to prove power instead of embodying peace. The truth is simple. She doesn't crave your authority. She craves your reliability. When the world spins, she wants to know your focus won't. Security doesn't mean perfection. You can fail, make mistakes, lose a battle, as long as your integrity stays intact. Your word must mean something. Your direction must stay clear. The moment a man becomes unpredictable, a woman's peace disappears. Her behavior changes not because she wants drama, but because uncertainty feels unsafe. When you give her emotional security, her whole nature transforms. Her guard drops. Her nurturing side surfaces. She becomes cooperative, affectionate, and trusting. You don't earn that with promises. You earn it with presence. So remember this. Consistency builds attraction faster than intensity ever could. When you become her calm in the storm, her energy naturally aligns with yours. That's not control. That's leadership. And that's the kind of strength a woman never walks away from. Number 5. Emotional overthinking. Her mind's defense mechanism. When a woman starts overthinking, most men assume she's being irrational. They see endless questions, repeated worries, or small details blown out of proportion and think she's creating problems out of nothing. But what she's really doing is protecting herself from emotional uncertainty. Overthinking isn't chaos. It's a defense mechanism built from experience. Women read emotion the way men read logic. Every word, tone, pause, and silence becomes data. When something changes, a shift in your mood, less engagement, shorter responses, her intuition notices. Her mind starts scanning for meaning, connecting dots, trying to make sense of the emotional signal she's receiving. She's not obsessed with control. She's seeking clarity. She wants to feel safe again. To men, this process looks exhausting, but to her, it's survival. Somewhere in her past, inconsistency taught her that safety can disappear without warning. So now her mind replays conversations, analyzes messages, revisits moments, not to irritate you, but to find reassurance she can't directly ask for. Her brain is trying to solve what her heart fears. This is where strong men separate themselves from reactive ones. The reactive man gets frustrated, says, "You're overthinking again," and shuts down. That only proves her fear right. that she's alone in her emotions. The grounded man does the opposite. He listens calmly. He doesn't try to fix or fight her thoughts. He reassures through tone, eye contact, and consistency. He speaks clearly and honestly, removing confusion before it turns into anxiety. Sometimes the best way to stop overthinking isn't words, it's behavior. Show up when you say you will. Keep your tone steady. Be where your presence is expected. Over time, her mind stops searching for danger because it learns to trust your rhythm. When she revisits old conversations or needs to talk things through, it's not a personal attack. It's emotional maintenance. The goal isn't to silence her mind, it's to calm it. When she feels safe in your presence, her thoughts quiet naturally. Remember, overthinking is what happens when clarity is missing. Your calm creates that clarity. So instead of reacting to her storm, become her stillness. Because the man who stays composed when her emotions spin doesn't just win her peace, he earns her deepest respect. In her world, that steadiness isn't just attractive, it's rare. Number 6, validation craving, her emotional fuel tank. Every woman, no matter how confident she appears, needs validation. Not flattery, not performance, real grounded acknowledgement, the kind that tells her, I see you, and what you bring into this relationship matters. Emotional validation isn't a luxury for her, it's oxygen. It sustains the bond when logic can't. Men often underestimate this need. They assume validation means endless praise or constant reassurance, so they avoid it to stay masculine. But that's a misunderstanding. Validation doesn't weaken your authority. It amplifies it. Because a woman who feels valued stops seeking proof that she's enough. Her energy calms, her loyalty strengthens. When validation is missing, subtle signs appear. She starts asking more questions. Do you still love me? Do I look okay? She changes her tone, her style, or her attitude. Not for attention, but for confirmation. Her mind is simply trying to refill a tank that's running low. She's not needy. She's emotionally underfed. And ignoring that need only widens the distance between you. True validation isn't about compliments. It's about recognition. It's saying, I notice what you do. I appreciate your effort. I respect your presence. It's a simple line at the right moment that resets her entire emotional state. When you validate with intention, her defenses drop. Her feminine energy thrives on feeling appreciated for both who she is and how she gives. Balance is key. Too little validation breeds insecurity. Too much creates dependency. The right dose builds stability, the kind that keeps love alive without constant reassurance. You don't have to say it every hour. You just have to mean it when you do. And there's something powerful in how men deliver validation. When it comes from calm confidence, not desperation, it feels real. A man who values without worshipping, who appreciates without losing himself, creates emotional gravity. She feels safe in his admiration because it's grounded in respect, not approval seeking. Remember, validation is emotional maintenance. It's how you keep her heart tuned to the relationship instead of wandering into doubt. When you consistently show her that her presence has meaning, she stops questioning her place in your life. A woman who feels seen becomes peaceful. A woman who feels unseen begins to fade. If you want loyalty, appreciation, and emotional harmony, learn this truth. Validation isn't manipulation. It's leadership, and the man who masters it never has to chase peace. He creates it. Number 7. Struggle with accountability. The final test of leadership. This is where emotional maturity separates men from boys. The struggle with accountability isn't just a female weakness, it's a human one. But for women, it often takes a unique shape. When emotions run high, logic takes a back seat. Her instinct to protect her feelings can sometimes override her ability to take responsibility. To her, being wrong can feel the same as being unsafe. That's why arguments often go in circles. You try to stick to the facts, but she's responding to feelings. You're talking about what happened. She's talking about how it made her feel. The harder you push your logic, the more her emotions fight back. It's not manipulation. It's defense. When she feels attacked, she defends her emotions first and her reasoning later. The secret isn't to overpower or out-argue her. It's to lead with calm authority. When conflict hits, your tone is your leverage. You can escalate the storm or absorb it. The man who raises his voice loses control. The man who steadies his energy takes command. Accountability doesn't grow in confrontation. It grows in emotional safety. She will only reflect once she feels she won't be shamed for her mistake. The best way to invite accountability is to model it. Admit your part first. Take ownership of your tone, your timing, your words. Not to take blame for her actions, but to show strength through humility. That disarms her defensiveness. When she sees you hold yourself accountable without losing composure, she starts mirroring it. Emotional leadership is contagious. You can't demand maturity. You invite it by embodying it. That's what real leadership looks like in a relationship. It's not about proving who's right. It's about protecting the bond from ego. When you stay grounded while she reacts emotionally, you shift the entire dynamic. You stop competing and start leading. Over time, this creates a quiet transformation. She learns that reflection doesn't mean weakness. She learns that admitting fault won't cost her respect. She learns that calm accountability is power. And that shift changes everything. Arguments fade faster, communication becomes honest, and trust deepens. A woman may resist accountability at first, but a man who remains steady through it teaches her emotional discipline without a single lecture. Because in the end, strength isn't about control. It's about composure. Lead with it, and you'll never have to chase respect. She'll give it freely because she feels safe in your steadiness. You've just walked through the 7 emotional patterns that define how women think, love, and respond. The sensitivities that confuse most men and destroy most relationships. But now you see the truth. They were never weaknesses. They were emotional codes. Once you understand them, everything shifts. You no longer see emotion as chaos. You see it as communication. You no longer fight what you don't understand. You lead it, not by control, but by clarity. Because real power in a relationship doesn't come from dominance. It comes from emotional fluency. From being the man who can stand calm in the middle of a storm and still make her feel safe. Think about it. Emotional sensitivity isn't drama, it's her language. Attention isn't vanity, it's her validation. Fear of rejection isn't manipulation, it's a plea for safety. Security isn't control, it's peace. Overthinking isn't madness, it's protection. Validation isn't ego, it's fuel. And accountability? That's where both of you grow stronger together. Each of these truths is a layer of understanding, and when you put them together, they form the foundation of emotional leadership. The kind of strength that doesn't react, it responds. The kind that doesn't break under pressure, it guides. This is where real masculinity lives. Not in how loud you speak, but in how calm you stay. Not in how much you demand, but in how clearly you lead. Because when you master emotional awareness, you no longer chase peace, you become it. If this opened your eyes, act on it. Subscribe, leave a comment, and share this with a man who needs to hear it. Because the truth is simple. Emotional strength isn't taught in schools. It's built through awareness, reflection, and practice. You can't control how women feel. You can't predict every reaction. But you can master how you respond. And that's where true power begins. Not over her, but within you.